All right.
We're live.
Hey guys.
Take it ahead. Go ahead, Will. Take it away.
All right. Welcome to another TezTalks Radio episode. Lots of distractions around lately, but joining us as our host is myself, William McKenzie of TC, Marissa True of TZ APAC, and also AJ again.
Yes, sir. I'm back.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I mean, it's early for me and it's evening for you. So while I have a coffee, I think you guys are dealing with something much stronger in your glasses.
I have red wine over here.
Yeah, no, I was just telling you guys earlier about the pitfalls of alcohol in podcasting, but I'm really excited to see you learning through experience.
Yeah, guide us.
We're
essentially
I
newbies
kind of
here.
shame the people who do that.
I'm all for it. I think this is it's going to be a show.
Oh, absolutely. We have tons of topics to go through, and it's honestly been kind of an exciting week for basically from everything that's kind of transpired in terms of NFTs and marketing and what you guys are working on in Asia.
Yeah, so where should we even begin, really?
I think honestly,
go ahead and talk about what you're working on in Asia, if you want to, or we can do Red Bull Racing.
Okay, we'll start with a bit of what's going on in Asia then, just because it's quite exciting and it's all for a good cause. So I think we should plug it in early while people's ears are really tuned in.
Yeah, sounds good.
Basically, I'd like to highlight some of the work that we're actually doing in Indonesia regarding artwork and NFTs. So TZ APAC is basically supporting a fundraising sale of 5,300 NFTs of this digital art piece that's actually serving to commemorate the lives lost of these Indonesian Navy submarine officers, which was called, the submarine was called KRI Nanggala 402. It sank in April just off the coast of Bali. And so
just this past April?
Yeah, just this past April, last month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It did hit international headlines, but I think, as is the way with all of the COVID press and everything that's going on in the world, I think it sort of slipped under the radar, but it was a really big tragedy in Indonesia. And regionally, it was very well known because there was a viral video basically after the submarine was declared missing, but they hadn't yet been declared dead because they hadn't found the wreckage. There was a viral video of the officers on board singing a song that called Sampai Jumpa, which is basically translated to "When We See Each Other Again." And it went viral because it was so tragic. They were all the lives that were lost. And so it tugged at the heartstrings of the general public. And so it inspired two artists to create a digital art piece called 53 Never Forgotten, which, I mean, we can probably show it at some stage, but it features a 53-second animation loop of a submarine that's floating amongst these animated waves. And then it's overlaid by 53 layers of sound. And so the number 53 is symbolic of the number of naval officers who lost their lives. And so it was created by a husband and wife duo. Their names are Ruanth Chrissy Tyson and Cindy Tyson. Cindy is a digital artist, and Ruanth is actually an Oscar and BAFTA nominated sound designer. So they basically combined their strengths to create this piece. And like I said, there's 5,300 versions of them. They're each being sold for 1 Tez each on HikiNok. And then all of the proceeds are going to be donated to the families of the soldiers who died so that they can kind of alleviate their financial burden. And so, I mean, if there's anyone listening who actually does want to go and check it out and maybe support the cause, they could just have to go to 53 families, like 53families.xyz, and they can actually go ahead and purchase them.
Awesome. We'll add that link in.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyone listening can actually just click onto it and just visit. That's a really cool backstory.
Yeah, and like I said, it really struck a chord, and for us, it was kind of this organic way to include NFTs into, like a very noble cause. It's not about like the technology and the hype. It's actually about trying to do some good with it. And it's all part of this bigger involvement we have with this hybrid art fair called Art Moments Jakarta Online. And so basically what we're seeing is that Indonesian artists are more actively looking towards NFTs to help them generate real and sustainable value for their work, through an income, through art sales. And so through this event, we're actually also going to be backing a workshop that's done in Indonesian to teach users, like artists, collectors, buyers, on how to open a Tezos wallet, as well as how to mint, buy, and trade NFTs. So yeah, I mean, it's all, moving towards trying to make blockchain as accessible for all. Like, we're trying to shed this notion that you have to be in, deep tech or finance to really harness its benefits. And so it's also just helping us, in a way, kind of tease apart people's understanding of blockchain from cryptocurrency. And I think that's probably a very important move right now, where, given the state of the markets, it's more fundamental than ever that people understand the tech rather than just the currency.
Definitely.
But yeah.
No, that's right. And that's actually a really good point in terms of NFTs. I remember back in 2017, that the only mainstream application that you'd have any casual person understanding blockchain was CryptoKitties. And that's sort of an NFT. And what you see today now, NFTs have just exploded massively, and it's probably become one of the most mainstream applications for blockchain, and one of the easiest things to understand for people to actually jump into an ecosystem or understand what blockchain does. And there's been huge press push, and I mean, HikiNok is unreal growth, and it's really cool. Like, because I know HikiNok is originating from Brazil, and then you're saying that in Indonesia there's actually a very strong art community, essentially, where I think there could be an untapped avenue for people to actually mint NFTs and actually make some sort of income from there.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually also seeing it on social media. I'm personally now following 5 to 6 Indonesian NFT artists that I would have never heard of prior to our involvement with this art fair, and they're working on some really cool stuff. And they're all selling it on HikiNok, because I think it was sort of like the ease of use, and it was just a straightforward, user-friendly way to put their work out there. And it's exciting to see it being such an embraced opportunity, because I think the thing with technology, especially when it comes to blockchain tech, because it's sort of got this complex allure that people hear the word and they think, oh, I don't get it, rather than kind of taking a moment to just read about the basics. The fact that people are so ready to think, actually, I see value in this, and I'm just going to go ahead and start. It's awesome. Like, the appetite is there. And I think especially in the early days of this year, when NFTs really came to the fore with, like the Beeple sale, the Christie's auction, everyone discarded it quite quickly as hype. And now we're actually starting to see that settle down, and like the sediment starting to settle. And then we're starting to see what the real foundation is. And it's there. Like, it's not all, it's not all hype. It's great.
Yeah, and it's actually also introducing other, like, these people who aren't normally tech savvy into or understand what blockchain is, and using these type of tools that we've pretty much known that existed for like years. Like, I know Quasimodo, who's been an incredible advocate for HikiNok, Mario Klingman on Twitter, and like he's a verified artist. He's been onboarding hundreds of artists on HikiNok. I don't think he understood what blockchain was previously, or maybe he does. He is quite tech savvy as well. But it's kind of trippy seeing him use like Temple Wallet, which is the equivalent to MetaMask, and just kind of teaching people, hey, you download this browser extension, and then you can add some Tezos, and you can start minting art, and also buying and collecting and selling art, which is it just blows my mind, because we've been using this for years, but it's just awesome to see all these new people that don't understand the technology itself, but just jumping in because there's a purpose to it, when there's a purpose, now you have people actually understanding and learning about it, which they normally would never have in the past, and so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, that also just follows onto like the next bit of involvement that we have out here in Asia is with, Akubit's technologies. And
Mhm.
I think the interesting work that they're doing is they created like a white label NFT marketplace called Coin Factory that enables businesses to launch their own NFT marketplace in like a matter of days. And it's just, and like, so they've partnered with TZ APAC to actively promote Tezos's clean NFTs as to any of their clients who are looking to launch an NFT marketplace. So that part's great. But I mean, separate from Tezos itself, just as we're saying, like it's enabling companies to launch an NFT marketplace without having to go through, the software development hurdles. They're not trying to program it from scratch, something that would take them probably years to do. And it's just, again, it's like another case of making it as accessible as possible to mainstream users. It's dropping the barrier to entry. Like,
Very cool.
it's letting more and more people interact with this kind of technology without it sort of being this mental leap. And it's only good things, right?
Yeah, exactly. It actually also reminds me, Will, you wrote about this as well as Open Minter. They kind of said, is that what it is? Like it's sort of like a white label NFT platform,
Yeah.
where
So to my understanding with Open Mentor, it's, basically something, it's like a framework. You can kind of spin it up and create your own site, kind of like or create your own auction, kind of like what Alchemimus did with his auctions. He was actually using Open Mentor for that. But I think to touch back on what you guys were talking about earlier, I think big picture wise with all this traction we're seeing, it's really something we kind of need to start cultivating more in different aspects towards these newcomers. We're kind of resonating with all this traction from HikiNok towards these newcomers. They're kind of saying to themselves, wow, this is pretty cool. And, now we can actually look at the Tezos blockchain and, there's a lot more things to do with it now than there was in the past. So I think that's kind of the message we really need to send, on a wider scale, that there's lots of things to do with Tezos blockchain, and Tezos is slowly becoming cool in that sense.
yeah, no, it's funny to see because you still have this meme where I think you see some trolls on Twitter saying, "Oh, Tezos the ghost chain," or "Who uses Tezos?"
Right.
And now you have it on record, and you can actually go to the website and see what data is actually flowing through Tezos. There's over a million contract calls per month now, and it just
Yeah,
kind of there's no response to that. Like, yeah, there is actually usage on this chain now, and there's a lot of people onboarding and deploying smart contracts.
actually, as you say that, we're, I think, close to breaking last month's record for contract calls. So
Yeah, I think
It's amazing.
at the very least, they'll match it, which is like 1.3 million, which is still
yep.
incredible. If you're averaging a million smart contract calls per month, where I think a few months ago it was only like, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000. I don't know. I'm sure someone can look it up and correct me, but that's exponential growth, and that's what you want to see, and that's what makes this whole NFT movement and DeFi very exciting for Tezos. And like people are starting to finally see that minting on Tezos is much easier than other chains, and there's actually a very robust community that supports it. And surprisingly, I mean, like HikiNok itself, it's bigger than OpenSea, and it's onboarding more artists that aren't actually familiar with blockchain than it is than they were before, and now they're actually understanding that Tezos itself is powerful. And so I think it's really cool to see all the usage that's happening from people outside the OG community and people that kind of envision where Tezos would go in 2017 to where there's actually there's other communities that are onboarding and helping Tezos grow as an ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's also really impressive is all of this growth that's happening within the Tezos ecosystem kind of spoke for itself. It didn't take too much press hype you know, around blockchain technology and NFTs and the growth in, you know,
Agreed.
respective industries, for Tezos to actually come forward as a leader in that respect, especially when it came to clean NFTs, given all the sustainability conversations that were revolving around Ethereum and just generally proof of work blockchains. And the fact that when it came to proof of stake blockchains, Tezos was at the forefront. Like, that was pretty much the first one that got picked up. I mean, leading on from like the narrative of NFTs, because I think this whole conversation sort of revolving around that theme. It was the same with the music focused platform One Of, right, which just got, I think, something like over 60 million in seed funding, got backed by Quincy Jones and other major artists. I had a look. I think it was like Whitney Houston, it was Doja Cat, it was Quincy
John
Jones.
Legend. I think there are about
and plus a bunch of
200
others I've never heard
artists were
of.
listed. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's insane. Again, it's just the fact that, you know, these NFT platforms are being built. There are real use cases. There's interest from artists who want to use it, and it's just kind of, it's addressing a need that was probably always there, but the technology wasn't designed as savvily as it is now to be able to meet those needs.
Yeah. No, definitely. And the cool thing about that, it's all organic as well. For me, myself personally, I didn't understand clean NFTs, or I didn't understand artists really cared about minting clean, and I didn't really understand the repercussions of minting on proof of work and the carbon costs that it incurs. And so it's such a strong point for Tezos. And for me, I thought, okay, maybe this is just a marketing buzzword. I mean, like, does it really make a difference? But like, based on what I've seen on HikiNok, based on the push by Quincy Jones launching an NFT platform on Tezos, it was all about minting clean NFTs, and it's about the environment, and then I know I've seen like I've actually seen like some people on Twitter saying, oh, the internet. There was an article a long time ago, I think by Bloomberg, saying, hey, you want to jump on the internet, it's going to harm the environment because more people are going to buy PCs, and therefore it's going to create more carbon. But this is completely different, because when you actually think about it, so there's proof of work and there's proof of stake. The internet, there is no two different types of solutions. There's only the internet. But with blockchain, there is a better solution that actually helps the environment, that actually reduces carbon costs. And so it just makes sense to actually I mean, even Ethereum is going to proof of stake for that reason as well. It just makes more sense. It's more efficient. And so it's just cool to see.
I mean, so as I was reading the press around the One Of platform, I was reading mainly the Rolling Stones piece, which I was actually quite surprised. Rolling Stones went quite in depth on their level of technical analysis of blockchain selection. And I just thought that wouldn't have happened a year ago at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was also a report by Citibank, and they went pretty in depth, I believe.
Yeah, it's showing that people are actually investing in understanding it for once, rather than just discarding it as hype or just saying, oh, it's too much for me to wrap my head around. But what was interesting about the Rolling Stone article is that they actually explicitly stated that Tezos was selected because of its ESG compliance, and they were saying that it would win over skeptical artists who didn't want to get involved in blockchain. I actually have a friend who's an artist based out in Canada, and she said that her initial response to NFTs was she hated it because she thought it was just another way for people to create a bigger carbon footprint. And now she's seeing all these sustainable options come to the fore, and she's actually willing to get engaged with the tech. But I thought there was actually a quote in that Rolling Stones piece that was quite scathing towards Ethereum. But they said that 1 or 2 years ago, we ran a calculation and saw that Ethereum's power consumption was going to be astronomical. And he said, I would rather empower artists and fans in a responsible way. And it's just the subtext of, you know, transactions that aren't occurring on a more ESG compliant blockchain being considered, I don't know, less ethically acceptable, was quite a strong point to make.
Absolutely. And that actually can be a perfect segue into our next topic, which is the other big news that happened with Tezos, which is the Red Bull Racing partnership for a multi-year technical partnership, and one of the forefront points for that was, again, being energy efficient and being upgradable and being actually hit consistently a solid blockchain, and that's one of the reasons they actually chose Tezos. And so, Will, what do you think? What do you think about Red Bull Racing and Tezos and how that's going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of goes straight into the topic of adoption.
Yeah.
I think the continued evolution of Tezos we're seeing, despite some of these distractions we've seen lately,
Yeah.
this ecosystem and the people behind it, it kind of goes to show where their focuses lie. While others are kind of focusing on shipping something that's expected soon, we're just steadily here implementing the latest features and growing on-chain activity, while combining all this together with getting actual adoption, like the Red Bull Racing news, Ubisoft, and countless other items.
Yeah, there's Lug, the Euro
Yeah.
stablecoin. And also City of Reno. We had Mayor Steve on our show,
Right.
TezTalks Radio, TezTalks Live, where she's talking about Reno DAO, Reno Coin, and actually minting NFTs from the Burning Man.
But yeah,
tons of
believe-
adoption in the last few months.
Yeah, I believe on the topic of Red Bull Racing, they're essentially going to be building their own NFT platform. I guess it's similar if we can think of the latest one that just came out, Truzy. So it's going to be like a curated type experience. And obviously with a multi-year partnership, they're probably going to be doing other things as well. But I think it's just awesome to see all this adoption we're getting here within Tezos.
And not even just from like an NFT angle.
Right.
From a marketing perspective, that was an absolute huge move. I know. Yeah, I know from like Reddit and Twitter and a lot of outcry from other community members is, where's Tezos marketing? Where's Tezos marketing? Well, this partnership itself was going for the jugular on that. I remember I saw one comment and I totally agree, which was Tezos went from the worst marketing to the absolute best marketing in one shot. Because like if there's one company that knows guerrilla marketing and knows how to market an organization, it's Red Bull.
Right.
And
yeah, it really did seem like an organic fit on the branding front in terms of just like the brand name speaks for itself, and then the moment you're associated, it just all kind of clicked and it made so much sense. Yeah. I mean, did you guys end up actually catching the Monaco Grand Prix where it was, it was kind of, it debuted on the car? Like
absolutely.
Our Tezos Lego?
I'm a huge fan for Monaco Grand Prix Formula F1, and watching that was just surreal. It was a surreal moment. Actually,
the fact that Verstappen actually won as well, so it couldn't have gone better.
and it's big because like I know a lot of casual people that don't know Tezos and honestly don't understand blockchain, but as soon as they saw the Monaco Grand Prix, because they watched that, they messaged me saying, "Oh, hey, I just saw Tezos. Is that the organization that you work with?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what it is." Tezos itself is going to be integrated with Red Bull Racing. And Johan, I know I'm calling you out right now. He actually works at TC. He was saying that he was working in a co-working office, and someone actually came up to him and said, "Hey, I saw Tezos on Red Bull Racing F1 car. Is that the actual Tezos that you work for?" So you can see like a lot of people that don't understand blockchain or understand Tezos itself. That was a killer move for marketing, and I mean,
and the logo placement as well was stellar because it was right next to the driver's head, so you could not miss it. It was prime real estate. And then again, like Verstappen won, right, which is all great and good, but like let's not forget the viral corner by Perez as well, where they must have replayed that clip 1,000 times over. The most impressive I'm not huge on F1. I won't lie to you. I don't have a particular allegiance. I guess it's with Red Bull now. But I watched that video over and over because it was just so impressive.
So that type of marketing is virality that you cannot buy. And essentially, Perez, who did that corner, was all over Reddit on several subreddits where it actually made it to Reddit's top front page. I think it's top 20, and that's extremely
He
hard
made
to
it to
achieve.
Reddit sports, didn't he?
Yeah,
Top
yeah,
of there.
sports, F1, also I think some other subreddits, but it most importantly went into Reddit R all. So R all is basically the front page Reddit. That's where anyone who visits Reddit, the basically the cream of the crop ends up on on that page. And Tezos was all over there based on that on that corner. I actually have a video of it saved here, and I know listeners would not be able to watch it, but the people who
Watch it
we're
on
watching on
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, can actually see this. Let me just share my screen. Okay, let me go with my
It's just a
tab.
beautiful case of right place, right time.
Yeah, can you guys see it?
Yep.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh man,
It's just insane.
That's a full speed, and like I saw a cool comment. If you notice, actually, Perez, he's already looking at his second turn while he's cornering. He's not even looking at the corner anymore,
that's
and
crazy.
that's just yeah. It shows you like the precision that takes place, and like at top speed doing that. It's just unreal. And so
I
yeah,
mean, I
that
think
video.
he,
Yeah,
Go
that video
on.
went all over the internet, and it's just cool seeing Tezos being like the perfect placement for that video, right at eye level in the center of Perez's head, which is just cool.
Yeah. It's almost serendipity, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Let's go to our last topic actually that we want to talk about on the NFT forefront is HikiNok, which we've mentioned quite a bit in this podcast so far. But just today, they minted their 100,000th NFT. So cheers to Raphael for that. That's just incredible growth. If people aren't familiar with HikiNok itself, um, it was essentially started by one person and a couple devs, and it was a total grassroots initiative. If you followed him in the early days, he essentially was just writing about minting NFTs on Tezos and doing some test cases. And honestly, for me being like in Tezos since 2017, I was kind of skeptical at first about him and like what he was doing, and just like, okay, cool, it's a nice article. It's a dev just trying out new things, but he actually managed to make it one of the biggest NFT marketplaces in the world, and it's all built on Tezos.
What made you think he was sketchy in the beginning?
Have you talked to him?
No, not personally.
So for other people, I've because I was curious at first, so I've talked to other people in the ecosystem that from other organizations, and they go, he's crazy, but he's crazy good. You don't I wouldn't expect him to be committed to building this platform, but he went all in, and like my best description of him is Willy Wonka, and like he's just
Nice.
yeah, he's
That
creative, he's crazy.
eccentric kind of, like the
Yeah,
eccentric genius.
yeah, like it's like Leonardo da Vinci. Like he never finished what he started, but he's always on to the next thing, and that's what kind of reminds me of Raphael and him doing that. It's just cool to see. Like he stuck with it and went all the way, and he just onboarded a massive community onto Tezos, and it reminds me of like 2017 when the fundraiser was happening, and like you saw some awesome people join the community, lots of contributors, lots of builders. I mean, there was all that Jeevers drama, and that Jeevers drama kind of sparked the community to come together and work together to launch Tezos itself, and work with Arthur and work with Kathleen, and actually follow through with Tezos launching, because we all believed in the vision and what it can be. And so that's what I see from HikiNok now. It's like a different version of that community that makes Tezos so great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, so that means like there was a lot of NFT news this week.
Yeah.
So much NFT activity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's not stopping either. From what I've seen so far, I think there's going to be more partnerships, and there will be more NFT news coming in the coming weeks.
Do we have any other news that we want to add, or should we look at wrapping this one up and then
I think you're
moving
running
on
out
to
of
our
time,
next
aren't you,
topic?
AJ?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take my daughter to her grandma's house, and
Yeah,
so
you're 5 minutes over.
Oh,
yeah, so I think we should call it we can wrap it up. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great news. We had a great week. We had Red Bull Racing. We had Quincy Jones launching an NFT platform, which was everywhere. I mean, it wasn't just like for one thing, it was on CoinDesk, which is one of the first articles I've seen Tezos being reported on. And secondly, I saw it on all mainstream media, which is Rolling Stones, Billboard.com,
Yeah, it
Variety.
actually got shared to Billboard. I
Yeah.
was kind of surprised by that.
Even Variety of all places, and it hit a lot of music outlets for media, and so that was really cool to see Tezos everywhere. And then
so
we have
basically, if you hadn't heard of Tezos before, you'll have heard of it now.
yeah, exactly, and most of these articles you see like that becomes mainstream media. It's watered down, where they just talk about the platform itself but not mention Tezos. You actually see them going in depth about Tezos and why Quincy Jones chose Tezos because of the clean NFT movement. And so that was really cool to see that they actually elaborated on the technology itself.
I agree.
Yeah. And then we see Marissa working on some cool things like 53 Never Forgotten. So we'll definitely share the link for that. It's on HikiNok.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a great cause. And it's such an easy, I mean, it's one Tez. So
yeah,
it's not a hard way to show some support. But let's definitely include the link. For anyone who's listening who maybe not looking at the link, it's 53families.xyz and just check it out.
Awesome. And definitely tweet it out on TZ APAC and we'll retweet it and we'll get it out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, pleasure chatting as always. And so let's convene again in a couple weeks and do this once more.
Sounds good. Yeah. All
I'm
right.
not doing this again.
Doing what?
It's not eating.
I'm really hoping that you're not on a cleanse in a couple weeks' time because I think you'll be dead.
Trying to not slur my words. That's not really working out.
So if you don't see Will in 2 weeks, you guys will know that he's been on a fruit-only diet, and he's essentially drinking vodka and water. And so it should be an interesting health experiment.
It's not a full-blown just fruit only every single day. It just happened to be today.
Okay.
Because it was raining and
at its finest.
I couldn't go on a bike ride or do anything.
All right. Well, sounds good.
All right,
and
guys.
For everyone out there, take care of their health and stay safe. And
sounds good.
I'm AJ, Will, Marissa. Until next time.
Bye.